Well, it looks like the dolls have got a wasp nest problem. Stay tuned and see how quick and easy this project is to make. Alright, so we need to start by building our base that we are going to build our wasp nest on. And for that, you can use anything that's kind of ovally shaped, and about, depending on how big the wasp nest has gotten on your dollhouse, will be determined by how big your form is. I had these little glitter covered Easter eggs from Dollar Tree in my craft stash, and I just grabbed one of those. So I'm going to stick, this is just a head pin, a jewelry head pin, and that will give us two things. It'll give us the ability to hold on to our wasp nest as we're working on it, and it'll give us something to hang it from when we put it onto the dollhouse. You're going to have to work kind of carefully here because this will want to pull right through the styrofoam, but it'll work. Now I'm just going to trim it off and just kind of make a loop at the top. It's not exactly, like I said, it'll try to come out. Once we get everything on there, it'll be glued in. It won't go anywhere anymore. Now we've got something to hold on to, and we can stick this over a skewer or something after we paint it. And speaking of painting it, that's our next step. And I forgot my paintbrush, so let me get set up to paint and I'll be right back. Alright, okay, I don't know why I left my paintbrush over at the sink. So you want to come up with kind of a grayish beigey color, which is usually what most wasp nests are. If you've got one you can look at, that's great. I don't have one nearby right now, although I've certainly seen enough of them in my life. So we are going to mix, that's just a gray, any kind of brownish color, and then some white. And this is just plain old craft paint. And we're going to use this, we're going to paint the base, let it dry a little bit, and then we're going to glue on our exterior of our nest and paint that. So we're going to start with that. I think that's probably more than enough, and we will be able to, yeah, that's going to be a good color. So now, just kind of, I got paint all over my hand already. Just paint this, and it shouldn't take too long for this to dry. Oops. Where's the camera here? But what you want, you're not really going to see this very much. Ideally, you might see it peek out a little bit, but we want to hide it as best as possible. And by painting it the same color as we're going to paint the exterior, it will blend right in. Now I'm going to stick this onto a wooden skewer. I'm going to find this a place to sit until it gets somewhat dry, and then I will be back and we will go on to the next step. Alright, so that is now dry-ish, and I put a cover over that so that stayed a little bit wetter. Now I've got some tissue paper, the kind that you buy at, like Dollar Tree or someplace near the wrapping papers. And I'm cutting just a couple of really narrow strips, and then I'm going to want, I think my scissors are wet, but that's okay, it doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to want a piece, let's hack off a bigger piece. So I'm going to take our paint that we had from before, and I purposely did not mix that together really thoroughly. I want it kind of splotchy. And this is matte Mod Podge. And I'm going to put that in there. Got a skewer here I can use to kind of stir this together. And my hope is that this is going to kind of help this to stick. I think I'm also probably, once I figure out if this is going to fit, yeah. I'm going to kind of, and I'll probably need a lot more paint. Kind of do that. And I'm going to take just some thin glue. This is Elmer's school glue. And this is going to be a really messy project at this point, probably from here on out. And we're just going to kind of cover that. This will finish covering that up. So I'm going to tear off some of the excess. Mainly we want to cover the bottom. There. Now, that's all covered. So I'm going to take one of these strips. And by the way, I'm kind of making this up as I go, so I may change my mind midway through. Who knows? I'm going to kind of wrap some layers. Right now I'm trying to kind of wrap around, excuse me, I'm losing my voice all of a sudden, wrapping around the top so that I can kind of get that top of that head pin where I made it round, kind of get that anchored a little better. Okay, I think on this one I am not going to, get it apart. Kind of wishing I would have gotten a wet wipe out. I think I'll probably have to go a little ways, and then I'm probably going to need to let this dry. Okay, I think I'm going to go about that far, and I'm going to put this onto my skewer, and I'm going to set it in a jar, and I'm going to let this dry for a bit so it's not quite so sticky so I can work with it. Alright, so this has had 20 or so minutes to just kind of get less sticky. So I squirted out just some Elmer's school glue here too. So I'm going to kind of use both and kind of do that. I do have a wet wipe within reach this time. And I'm going to, this time I'm going to try and start down here. And yeah, this is not going to be, you know, really neat or anything. It's just going to be around, and let's kind of open this up a little bit at the bottom. I think that will do it. So let's let this dry and we'll get a look and see if we want to add any more. Alright, hopefully the camera's picking that up. I am really happy with that. I wish, if I had more time today, I would probably do a little more with it, but I'm kind of short on time. And so I'm going to go with it the way it is. So I am going to take just a little bit of brown. I want to almost dry brush some beige over that. And you'll see in a minute what I mean. Let's see, I need, so I want to get in whatever brown you've got, whatever gray you've got. It's not, I'm just going to kind of get some lines this way. And if you've got more time than I do today, you could definitely go into much more detail. And if you make one of these, I'd love to see a picture of it. Either email it to me. My email is on the blog, or comment on the blog post, or hit me up on the Facebook group and show me a picture of what you've done with the project. But there we go. I'm going to go hit this with my heat gun to dry it real quick. I'm going to install it on the side of the dollhouse temporarily, and we'll go over there and see how it looks. Well, there is our wasp nest in place up there in the eaves of the dollhouse. I think this is just one of those little touches that is so fun to do on a dollhouse, and those are the projects I'm really looking forward to doing. Little things to stick in little areas. I hope you enjoyed the project today. I hope you learned something. If you liked the video, please push the like button. If you haven't subscribed, I'd love to have you push that subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when I put up a video. If you haven't, be sure and check out the blog post. There'll be photos over there, and I'd love to see you join us over on the Facebook group. And I'll talk to you next time. Bye.